Hi, Nakia here in the Columbia River Gorge, standing across the river from Eagle Creek. There's some ash floating in the air around me right now. The Eagle Creek fire broke out yesterday here, trapping 140 hikers in between that new fire and the Indian Creek fire, which has been burning for about a month. This situation has the potential to be one of the biggest hiking tragedies in history. It also has the potential to be one of the biggest hiking rescues in history. A lot of these hikers were up here to swim. They weren't prepared for a long hike. The Eagle Creek is really popular. It's got a lot of old growth, huge trees, dramatic cliffs, a lot of waterfalls. A spectacular place, and will be a real tragedy if the fire takes out the whole canyon. There are search and rescue workers with them and some special ops. They spent the night up there. I've talked with a number of different people this morning. There's a couple different reports coming out. One that they're still trapped there, and another that they've actually started to be able to make it out through the bottom down here at the trailhead of Eagle Creek, which we're all hoping for. There's also the town of Cascade Locks, which is in serious danger right now. The Columbia Gorge is a really windy place. Incredible winds come down through here. Fortunately, it's not windy, but that could change at any minute. If that picks up, there could be a lot of risk to all the towns around here, and even some of it spreading to the other side of the river, although that's a little less likely. But I am seeing ash fall around me here on the opposite side of the river right now. In some of my searches over the last month, I've driven up and down the gorge, and there have just been planes, multiple planes, flying in and out of the gorge here, picking up water to put out forest fires. One of the biggest changes right now is the wind direction and the inability for planes to take off right now and get water out of this area and dump water up on these wildfires. The smoke is just really stagnating, and I'm not sure if that's the only reason why they haven't been able to send helicopters in there, but I'm guessing it's actually the terrain is so steep and the potential for wind, it would just be really treacherous and dangerous to try to get somebody out of there. I was just over at Bonneville Dam, and they're closing that to the public now. It also looks like they're going to be closing 84, at least there's a high potential that they will be. So if you can avoid that route, that might be a good idea.
So I'm hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, which is a 2,650 mile footpath from border to border, from Canada to Mexico. Mexico to Canada is actually the way that I'm going. I've been on the trail for 4.5 months. Started on April 14th of this year, and I've been hiking more or less since then, until now. Although I've had to skip a little bit for various reasons. So I've hiked about 1,600 miles in 4.5 months.
So,
yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. You've reached Cascade Locks here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Well, it's a big milestone. I've been looking forward to and it's a big deal. You go over the Bridge of the Gods, and now you're into a new state, and it's my home state, so I'm really excited to hike north. So, Cascade Locks is a cool little town. So, but it's been interesting because of the fires here. So, a little more exciting than I planned, but it's okay.
So you made it through just before the trail closed, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the Indian Creek fire was going, but
yeah.
The trail goes around that, the PCT, right?
Right. So the hikers on the PCT typically like to take the Eagle Creek alternate when we're hiking through here because it's supposed to be really beautiful. But this year, the junction to go onto the Eagle Creek alternate was closed, but the PCT is open. So there's actually rangers there at that junction, just in case any hikers wanted to sneak through. So, so nobody did that I saw, and we just hiked up in on the PCT. And I did that a couple of days ago. I've been taking a couple days off here in Cascade Locks, but I'm glad I made it through because now there's an enormous fire over there, and the whole thing shut down. So, yeah.
How's the trail been to you?
Great. It's been awesome. Great experience, like once in a lifetime opportunity. 2017's been an interesting year. Just record high snow levels in the Sierras, so that was an adventure. People who made it through. I didn't do the Sierras yet. Just so much snow. I would like to come back when it's a little less snowy, So either at the end of the season or another year, and then lots and lots of fires this year. I don't know if this is like this every year, but it seems like a little bit more than normal this year. So I've already had to skip over 100 miles in Oregon due to wildfires in Crater Lake and Three Sisters Wilderness and Mount Jefferson Wilderness. And then there's another fire coming up in Mount Rainier National Park, which I'm hoping it will rain before I get there, and I won't have to skip, but right now hikers have to skip another 25 miles up there. So we'll see. I mean, the name of the game this year is be flexible and be willing to change your plans at the last minute. So that's what I've been doing.
Wow. So you have, you said the trail's been hard on people this year.
It's been tough, especially if you're really wanting to do a continuous A to B, Mexico to Canada, continuous footsteps. And that's what a lot of thru hikers want to do, but this year it's almost impossible to do that with all the wildfires. So also hikers who have made it through the Sierras, in order to make it through the whole trail in one season, would have had to have done that in June when it was really snowy and the rivers were really high, and that's more like mountaineering and not really like hiking. So the hikers who made it through, and there's quite a bit, that's impressive. I haven't done it. I will come back another year.
You said 3 people have actually lost their life. How was that again?
So I just read this on the PCTA website. One guy in the beginning, the PCT, the first 700 miles are in the desert. It's really hot. So it's a different kind of hiking that you have to get used to. So one guy down there died of heat stroke, I guess. And then we had 2 hikers that died in the high Sierras this year crossing rivers. When the snow level is high like it is, those river crossings can be quite treacherous. So we've had 2 thru hikers lose their lives that way this year. So it's been a tough year for PCT hikers. So, but all that, I've been having a blast. So, it's been incredible. Yeah.
What are you looking forward to next?
So next, I'm in my home state now, the state of Washington. So that's exciting. So it's just only one more month. And then I'll be done for the year, come back another year and pick up the miles that I had to skip due to snow and wildfires. So next, I'm just excited to hit the trail. Maybe get a good night's sleep tonight. Last night wasn't so good because there was the fire. You could see it from our window, and we were sure we were going to be evacuated, and we didn't get much sleep last night. Get a good night's sleep tonight. I'm looking forward to Goat Rocks Wilderness. That's coming up in the pretty soon in the state of Washington. It's supposed to be really beautiful. So that's kind of next on my can't wait to get there list. Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
I'm a PC hiker. My trail name is Glacier. That's a long distance trail from Mexico to Canada, border to border. It goes through California, Oregon, and Washington. And we're now here right at the border between Oregon and Washington. It's about mile 2,190. And in the end, at the Canadian border, it's about 2,650 miles. That means we're pretty close to the border now. We are already on the trail for 4 months and 1 week about that. And yeah, there are 3 weeks left. It's crazy now because it's like a lifestyle we're in, and we know we need to get out of this lifestyle in 3 months. But yeah, I'm looking forward for that. It started about 2 weeks ago. A little bit earlier, we heard about the fires, mostly on Facebook on the PCT class 2017. And in the beginning, I wasn't really worried about that because the fire wasn't actually on the trail and something like that. But then even later, we realized they're on trail and it's impossible to get through. But we decided to don't skip the miles, as a lot of people are doing. We looked for some alternates around by ourselves and got some new maps and hiked around the fires. It was about a detour of 4 days through Sisters, and then it was actually pretty good. A lot of the fire, they disappeared, but now we got in touch with the fire again. It was last night in the evening. We just saw a big cloud of smoke above us, but it wasn't actually a problem. But then we got to sleep. It was about 4 a.m. this morning. I woke up because of a lot of smoke around us, and I was totally covered with ash. And yeah, we were actually pretty afraid because we checked the news on our phones. We had service there, and just said, yeah, there's fires actually around us, and they're pretty close to Cascade Locks, where we were today in the morning. I was pretty thirsty, would like to get a Powerade or Gatorade, but all the stores were closed because they all had to disappear. Yeah. Now we're here, and we're hoping there aren't a lot of fires ahead in Washington. It's amazing, the community about this trail, because I'm from Switzerland, and there's not this kind of community with hikers, young hikers. It's more there for the old people, or for the middle-aged people, families and stuff go hiking, but not the young people. And we went here, and just amazing, yeah, just amazing.
We got evacuated about 11:30, and we packed up. We had everything packed up the night before because there was smoke coming over the ridge, and everybody got really excited because they said it was just smoke from a distant fire. That was probably about 4:30 in the afternoon. So I decided to get everything packed up and ready to go. And about 11:30, my neighbor knocked on the door and said, "We're on fire up above Dry Creek," which is 2 miles southeast or southwest of the bridge. And he said it's up on the ridge, and we are doing evacuation, so you need to leave. So we came over here to Stevenson and started setting the tent, got my 2 cats put in there in the shelter. Finally got them settled down, and I'm setting up the tent, and we're just waiting. Do you want me to tell you what I told you about the EMT?
Sure.
Okay. When we were over there with the cats getting them settled in, the Cascade Locks EMT and fire department came, and my mom was talking to them, and they said that I'm freezing up the camera.
Just actually tell me, how do you feel about this?
I feel kind of violated, like uprooted, scared, but I'm trying to keep it all together. Everything I own is in the house. I know it's insured, but it's like, am I going to be homeless?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to be out on the street? Am I going to have a house to go back to?
Yeah.
None of my family lives here close. They either live in the southern part of the state or they live over in Idaho. So I'm trying to get a hold of them just in case we don't have a home to go back to. And that's kind of scary. I mean, I'm thinking about how am I going to get a job? Where am I going to get new clothes? Paying my bills. All these things keep going through my head. And I feel not too comfortable. I feel safe here, but I was really scared, and I know I can't cry. I have to keep it all together, and I'm doing a lot of praying. I prayed to God. I said, God, please let our house be there. And I don't know. I'm still just concentrating on the moment right here, centering everything on right here, and getting my tent set up and my animals taken care of, and going to get out and talk to people and see how they're doing and how I can help. But it's really scary not knowing you have a home.
3:30 a.m. this morning,
Oh yeah.
and he told me that we'd reached Category 2, which is get your stuff ready. and we could see the gorge, the two main mountain peaks. They were totally ablaze, and I seen a flame go up at least 150 feet. And but when they gave the stage 3, we packed our stuff up. We have our pets over at the building across the way here, and we're just waiting to anxiously go home to a safe house.
They give you any indication how long you'll be here?
No, looks like it'll be a while though.
Yeah.
Can't even see really too much across the river even right now.
How long have you guys lived there?
6 years. But we actually had roots going back to the 1970s. And my sister, she retired there, and I retired there as well.
How do you feel about all this?
It's hot. It's very hot. But the smoke seems to be blocking the sun out somewhat, so it's not as hot as the forecast was going to be. Some of the models showed it at 99, some of them showed it at 103. That's a high temperature.
You guys have to move out of town. What's going on with you guys?
Oh, there's a fire, if you haven't heard. It's a little one. It's a little smoky.
Yeah.
What's your experience with that? How close were you guys to the fire? And
3
Well,
miles?
We're all neighbors and we're
Yeah.
pretty darn close.
Yeah.
We're like some of the houses that back up to the national forest, like right up next to it. So we were, I think, some of the first evacuated, like at 4:30 this morning.
4:45 actually. I timed it.
4:45.
We got the level 2 notice at 4:45. Knock on the door from the county sheriff, and it wasn't 5:35, and they were saying it's now level 3.
Level 3.
Time to go.
are you?
Happened that fast.
Are you? Did you have things ready to go? You had some warning and.
Yeah, we had a few things. Just kind of,
It wasn't warning though. We just
Just
I
very
saw
cautious.
it because you can see it from
Yeah.
the neighborhood, and I thought I better pack some bags just in case it happens really quickly.
And that was our thought as well. As soon as we started seeing the plume of smoke over us, we started thinking, we need to pack some things. And so we got all our pictures and main things out. And then,
Hey.
but then when they gave us, we didn't have any information. We couldn't find any information on the news. We didn't really know what was going on, how serious it was.
Took it into our own
Hands.
Yeah.
And then we decided to finally go to sleep it was
2:30.
2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then 4:45 we got that loud knock.
So I use IncyWeb, and pretty familiar with that, how to monitor fires and everything. Yesterday when I left for work, I worked the night shift, and I worked clear out past Hood River. So on my way, in the rearview mirror, I noticed just a little bit of smoke coming up. And so I looked it up, and I got the Indian Creek fire. That's the only thing that kept coming up. So I was looking at it, and I thought, okay, that fire moved. But what I read, that one was mostly, it's not contained, but it wasn't a risk. So here I am going about my whole day. Every time I'm outside, this smoke cloud keeps growing. Get back on IncyWeb, and again, it's Indian Creek. So
That's the way it was until we went to bed.
Yeah.
For the most part, was what we found online.
When I looked this morning, I didn't find any information on it either.
Yeah.
And I just talked unofficially with a Forest Service person, and they were saying that they're still just drawing up the team to
Yeah.
fight the fire.
yeah, I mean, it changes so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I befriended the Hood River Sheriff's office on Facebook, and those were the most up-to-date updates that I could find. And they were decent. It at least let me know that things were getting pretty serious fairly early on, like at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. I feel like I was telling him it was going to be pretty bad, I think, and he's saying, I don't know still. And sure enough, I was right, of course.
It's hard to tell. There's just so much of a glow for each tree that would go up. It just the whole sky would light up.
It was hard to tell where it really
didn't know where it was. Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that. I mean,
Me either.
orange flames, and it would light up the whole sky.
Yeah, it was
The
crazy.
whole ridge line, and then when we started seeing it light up the smoke behind our house was when I really started realizing how serious it was.
How much of a fire break do you guys have at your house?
None.
10 feet maybe
Yeah.
from the
People-
forest.
We just moved there. We don't have a sprinkler or anything yet, but everybody started putting their sprinkler behind their house. But yeah, there's like 10 feet.
Yeah. It butts
If
right up
that.
to the national forest.
Yeah. Wow.
Everything's super dry.
It's just so dry.
Wow. What are they saying? You just don't know when you can go back.
We
No
have
update.
no idea.
No updates. Nothing.
He did go back. Actually, they both went back to get a little bit more supplies, and they were able to get in. When he went, there were blue ribbons on all of our houses.
Oh.
Yeah.
And what they told him, the fire department said that it signified priority
To save.
to save. So yeah.
That's good to
Rock and
know.
roll.
Yeah. Right on.
They're quoting our park manager with the rock and roll. That's why it's so funny to all of us.
It's Koo Magoo.
He's a trooper. He stayed behind last man there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Keeping
true.
an eye on things for us.
Yeah, just called him a little bit ago, and everything's fine still at that spot. So we don't know how long or if that's going to stay that way. So
But we are neighbors, but we hadn't met really until
just now, yeah.
today. So that's
We
pretty
were
cool.
some of the first people to like arrive here. There was a very small group of people, but they pulled in, and then I think we pulled in like how soon after you guys?
Not about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Maybe,
like 10 minutes after, and we just kind of casually started talking, and then just realized, oh, you're our neighbor. So it's a little comforting.
Yeah.
It's a
Yes.
lot
Yeah, it
comforting
is. It feels
actually
nice.
to
You're not alone.
and
yeah.
can be separated from some of this.
And the Red Cross has been amazing.
Yep.
And just the community, the locals here have been outstanding.
Volunteers.
We have just had people that come down and walking through and said they're not here, they're not evacuees, they just wanted to come and see if we needed anything. And
They're like, will bring us food and drinks and
What's your favorite beer? We've been asked.
Really?
we haven't been
I
asked
could-
for beer.
I could go for one of those.
Yeah.
Or two.
I think we have a few.
Nice, we could.
I should have grabbed that vodka.
They saw the guitar, so they'll come back and jam. So
Nice.
Nice.
All right, well, hey, thanks, you guys, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Same to you.
I just stopped by the camp for the people that are displaced, and on the way out, there was a woman who was complaining that there was no place to get masks. The Emergency Red Cross didn't have any in the pharmacy, and there's just no masks anywhere to be found. She didn't want to go on camera, but also it's just hard to find information about what's going on. It seems like a lot of locally, there's not a lot of information. This channel's a lot about safety when you're out in the wilderness, and this is a situation where people weren't prepared, and one of those situations where it would be difficult to prepare for. You could have all of the gear that you need, GPS, rescue beacon, phone, extra gear and equipment, but if you call for help, they can't get you out of this canyon because it's so steep right now, and there's so much smoke, and the wind can come through there, and the trails are actually on sheer cliffs in some place. And Tunnel Falls, where they're hiding out or have been near, is a perfect place to hide out because the tunnel actually goes behind a waterfall, and there's no way that can catch on fire. However, the water could dry up, and there could just be the possibility of all the air being burnt out if the fire really picked up through there, and people could die from suffocation. The best way to be prepared for this sort of a situation is just to look at the area very carefully before you go out. If you're in the fire season, Check where the fires are. Make sure that you have multiple routes to get out in case a fire did break out, another one if you're near a fire, or just try not to go near a fire in general. Making sure that you have multiple ways to get out is one of the best ways that you can be prepared this time of year when we're in the fire season. There's a fire ban right now, and I went up last weekend and saw several campsites in the woods that had fires going, even though it's incredibly dry. So try to be smart about fires. Wait for that for another month or so until the weather cools down and it's a little more damp. Be smart about things like cigarettes or even pulling off to the side of the road with your car. Make sure you're not pulling off in a grassy area with your muffler heating up that grass. Avoid anything that has to do with a spark when you're out here in nature. This fire is about 20 miles from our house. We don't think it's going to jump the river. It's possible, but not likely. We had fires close to our house last year. One was adjacent to our property. But regardless, we're not going to take any chances. We're keeping a bag ready to go with important documents and clothes for us and the kids so that in case an emergency does arise, we can evacuate at a moment's notice. There's reports now that all the hikers are back safe, which is huge because this had potential to be one of the biggest hiking disasters in history. The struggle's not over. There's still a lot of people in danger in the town of Cascade Locks and other small homes in the area. So keep those people in your thoughts and prayers.